Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Transformers Reviews. And today, guys, I'm going to bring you one of my favorite characters, and this is none other than Cheetor. Or as you can see on his box, they marketed him as Knight/Cheetor. Isn't marketing a strange but annoying thing? Anyway, that aside, this is a release from 2004, and the reason I'm showing you it in the package as opposed to just straight out of the package in beast mode is, you notice how they packaged him. He's like halfway transformed between robot and beast mode. It's kind of a weird thing. Plus, I always liked this packaging. It kind of had this, there's some digital stuff in the background. It's kind of got a digital but yet rough edge. And this is similar to other Universe releases. Now in 2003, this was the style they used for the Universe packaging. In 2004, they changed it over to this one. So anyway, I'm too chicken to take out Skywarp, but after I take out Cheetor to show you guys, maybe I'll get the courage worked up to open up this nice packaging and release him from his plastic prison. But anyway, we're not going to be focused on Skywarp today. We are going to focus on the cat. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and take him out of his plastic prison and take a look at him in his, well, we'll see how his beast mode actually looks. And here we have Cheetor in his beast mode. And, you know, one thing about the Beast Machines figures is that they didn't quite accurately represent their animation counterparts, mostly in beast mode. Robot mode's got a little bit closer. As you'll see later on, he does somewhat resemble his animation counterpart. But aside from that, this figure by itself, I mean, if you look at this instead of what it's supposed to represent, if you just look at the figure itself, I mean, it's okay. I like the fact that he's, well, I mean, he's gold instead of yellow. So, I mean, you know, it's somewhat like a cheetah. But, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know why. It's just so odd and weird. I kind of like it. I mean, obviously, his katanas for robot mode you can definitely see here. And the spark crystal, let's see here. It's weird because on a lot of these Universe figures, like the original spark crystals for like Maximals and stuff, if we look here on Black Arachnia, you can see it's clearly the Beast Machine's Maximal symbol. Well, on a lot of these Universe figures, they replaced it with a, I don't know whether they overproduced the Dinobot Spark Crystal or what, and then they would just tampograph the Autobot logo on top of it. So, I don't know. The Universe line was funky like that. So, anyway, you know, and the red and the gold do kind of, now that I look at it, it kind of gives it an Iron Man vibe. Cheetor is supposed to have a little bit of light piping on his head, and it works in certain lights. And I thought on the original figure he was supposed to have like a biting action or something. You can see his head does a little bit of movement. And the reason I thought that was, if you look at when you push down the spark crystal in robot mode, it helps him do a little, we'll see a little bit later, but it helps his arms do a little bit of a little slashing action. And I thought when the head was plugged in, it did something with the mouth, but evidently not. So, and so if we move behind the spark crystal here, you'll notice a jetpack, which he did not have in the show, but for this figure, why not? It's strange enough, I like it. So anyway, I mean, that's kind of cool, but you know what? This figure, overall, in a majority of ways, reminds me of this figure, his Transmetal 2 version. The reason being is the way it transforms. I mean, it's like 90% the same. The front arms become the arms in robot mode. The back legs become the leg robot, you know, and then of course the tail is attached where it is. Not to mention that this was a jet booster in Beast Wars, where I even think there was one episode where he was flying around with it. So the fact that he's got a jet booster here, you know, blades are up here instead of on his elbows now. I mean, it's just, and then, true, the torso bit transforms different on this one, but there's still even some vague similarities there. So, I mean, it's like they took this figure and then just kind of like mostly ripped off their own design when they went to design this one. So, I don't know. Personally, I will always like the Beast Wars version better. But for this one, it's not so bad. I mean, I obviously bought it for a reason, you know, to kind of help fill in my Beast Machine shelf. True, the back feet are like grossly, absurdly large when you compare it to the hands, but these do, like I said, become robot mode hands. So I don't know. There's some whack proportions, but like I said, it's so strange, I can't help but like it. So, and if you do monkey around with it, you'll notice how he's kind of like leaning to the side. That's because this arm will lock into place by bringing it around this way. And oddly enough, this is the reverse. You have to take it back this way for it to, yeah, it's real weird how the arms work. So getting them right sometimes does take a couple of rotations to get it just where you want it. And even then, it's a guessing game. But that does also depend largely on the back feet also, where you position them. So anyway. Overall, Beast Mode, I mean, it's, like I said, it's got some funkiness to it. Not the greatest transformer I've ever seen. But if you want a little, you saw him compared to his Beast Wars figure. This is to a modern day Titans Return class figure. Kind of see that. And of course, Skull Cruncher, Smasher, yeah, Skull Smasher is a little bit longer just because he's a croc and he's got this long tail. But I mean, even if you just, I mean, they're about the same size. So, like I said in one of my previous videos, the deluxes have remained pretty much consistent from the days of Beast Wars and Beast Machines, even to the modern day Titans Return figure. So, if you want to see it up against, like, say, a vehicle for whatever reason, because they fought vehicles and Beast Machines, not that this is the one they fought, obviously. But you can kind of see how he stacks up here against Metal Hawk. If that's Skyhawk, Metal Hawk, whatever this guy's name is. So, anyway. But aside from that, anyway, we will go ahead and move on to robot mode. Okay, so here we have Cheetor in his robot mode. And, you know, I like I said before, I believe that the robot mode comes a lot closer to the CGI animated model that we saw on the show. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but one thing I do like about it is he is still rocking the Iron Man red and gold. It looks good in this form too. Now let's go ahead and get on the gimmick. Let's just get it out of the way, because I mean that is what it is. That's kind of the deal. And I call these katanas, I believe, in beast mode, but these are actually like scimitars. So if you look at his arms on both sides, he has these deals. Basically, all that is once you bring the arms up into the correct position, they should flip right into his hands. Ah, look at that. And, I mean, you know, if we, I mean, it doesn't look bad. I really do like that part of the gimmick. That's okay. That's cool. I like the fact that his scimitars are somewhat attached, and you know, like this as it stands. I like just this overall look. Him armed and everything. Great. True, okay, I'll come back to that. I said the gimmick. Okay, so to be the most, to have the most, what's the word I'm searching for? Basically, to have the best functionality of use of this gimmick that I'm going to show you here, just because the way the arms are, you see when you push this one up, it comes back down because of the spring mechanism. This one is the other way. Like we saw in beast mode when we transform the arms. So what you want to do is you want to bring this one down here like this, kind of like, you know, almost at a 90-degree angle, and this one needs to come up just a little bit, probably about, you know, right about where the paw would line up with his neck or whatever. So anyway, let me see if I can get this in frame here. So if we press on the spark crystal, and if I do it kind of slowly, it doesn't always catch right. But it's mainly meant to be like he's hacking up Viacon drones or what have you. So, I mean, it's not the world's greatest gimmick. I mean, there are some gimmicks that are not terrible, but, you know, hey, whatever. I'm sorry I can't push that without covering up his face. It's just the way, it's hard to get it there. Well, I mean, not that's great or anything, but okay, that's out of the way. Now, coming back to the legs here. One thing that I just did not care for is, like, I mean, just a straight on, if you're doing a straight on profile instead of a side profile, that is probably the skinniest part And that's the only real complaint I have design-wise for him, is just that. Now, when we do comparisons, I'll show you something that kind of negates that a little bit and helps with it. Now, one of the other things about this is on the instructions, they show the feet like this. I mean, just looking at, you know, a lot of general Transformers, you would think it goes like this. And I mean, technically, if you want to, you could use Cheetor like this. I think overall it would help a little bit aesthetically, because it does kind of look weird in robot mode with the back claws. It's not as well hidden as one would hope, but anyway. And the design, you know, he was more like yellow and green in the show. But, I mean, overall, somewhat design, like around here on the abdomen and even somewhat of the chest muscles, that's great. Now, while I was never a fan of this head, I mean, they've nailed it pretty well as far as just overall design. And like in Beast Mode, he does have light piping, so it's just a matter of getting, you know, where you can get the best light piping for these guys. So, and one of the things that I do like, that I brought out in Beast Mode, was this little jetpack back here. It does flip up, so if you, I guess, you know, hey, if a kid was playing with it and you wanted to make Cheetor look like he was flying, cool, got the option, right? So anyway, I don't know why I'm so enthralled by that jetpack. It's just so odd, but then again, what did I say about this figure in Beast Mode? So, anyway, we compared him with his Transmetal 2 version in the earlier part of the video, so let's see how they stack up in robot mode. And, you know, I mean, what can you say? Cheetor is kind of an anomaly. He's a deluxe class, but compared to the other deluxe classes I'm going to show you, with the exception of one, he just dominates them. And, you know, considering how he looked in the show, that's not a bad thing, honestly. I still believe that the Beast Wars Cheetor is just a little bit of a superior figure, just because when it comes to like scimitars or a cool looking gun, I like the gun a little bit better. Plus, I just like the overall how they kept this Cheetor in more of accurate, you know, proportions. And the one does go weird, but it doesn't go to this level of weird, if that makes sense. So they're weird in their own unique way. Alright, let's go ahead and compare him with Hawk over here. And you know, I mean, like I said, he's got a lot more mass than even a modern day figure. And I'm not talking just because of the legs. I'm looking at the overall upper part of the body in conjunction with everything else, and I mean, it kind of blows me away. He's just a lot thicker and bulkier than even a Titan's Return figure. So, and the last one we'll compare him with is the one that I was talking about that may kind of help counteract that tallness a little bit, because she is taller than, like, I think even the Optimus figure from Beast Machines. So these two are supposed to be a little bit closer in height, and as it stands right now, like this wouldn't be terrible on the shelf. Honestly, it wouldn't. But I did talk about the legs. To get them more in what this little bit right here is usually extended, because it's like this in Beast Mode, then it extends down to give him a little bit more height. But technically you could make him shorter if you wanted to. And we'll go ahead and do that for the other leg. Oh girl, you all falling over and stuff. You tripping. Okay, now this is a little bit more accurate to their comparable heights in the show. So and it kind of, like I said, it kind of hides and negates that little skinny leg bit, because now that it's collapsed in there, you visually will look at the upper leg and the lower leg, and it kind of lines up a little bit better, rather than like having a rather smaller piece in between the two. So if you're looking for a Cheetor figure, a Beast Machines Cheetor figure, I mean, you can't get much better than this guy. Because I'm sorry if I have repeated myself 100 times over. I really do apologize if I've done that. But really, these figures are scrutinized, because while these guys, the Beast Wars figures, were like dead on for the most part, these guys were kind of like, I've heard some say that they were kind of like an avant-garde take on, you know, just their modes, both of them. And I can see where that would be, you know, I can see that kind of being a legit argument. This figure in and of itself, avant-garde or not, you have to like the little bit of strange that's going to come with this figure. I just can't stress that enough. For a majority of the Beast Machines figures, you're going to have to like a little bit of the quirkiness. If it bothers you, then you won't like the figure. So anyway, it's up to you whether you want to hunt this one down. Like I said, the original release of Knight/Cheetor was black with yellow spots, and then this one I think has a superior color scheme, not because it's Iron Man, but just because he is more of that gold, which is closer to a yellow color. So anyway, it's not the greatest figure ever, I'll admit that. It's not the worst figure ever. That's like Armada Sideswipe or something. Anyway, sorry guys, it is super late and I don't mean to just keep rambling on. Anyway, that has been the review of Transformers Universe version of Knight/Cheetor.